This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Girish audible.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We'll be starting the session now. Sir has joined us. Hello, everyone. I welcome you all for today's webinar, Mechanical Engineering Learning for Secure Career. Thank you, everyone, for taking out your time and being here today. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Girish Athunikar, and I'm working as Assistant Professor in Department of Mechanical Engineering, AITM, Belgavi. I'll be responsible for hosting this presentation, and I'm glad to welcome today's resource person, Dr. C.V. Reddy, Vice Chancellor, KK University, Nalanda, Bihar. I welcome you, sir. So let me start with introducing sir. Sir has a vast experience of 33 years, out of which 20 years is into academic administration. Sir has served in 9 Indian states, starting from lecturer to professor, principal, director, and first vice chancellor of First State Private University, Madhya Pradesh, Indore. Sir is also founder and chairman of Brihaspati Technologies Private Limited and Brihaspati Farm Services Limited. Dr. Reddy has published more than 22 papers in peer-reviewed international journals. Sir has also authored 2 books, Fundamentals of Mechatronics in the year 1998, Mechatronics Sensing to Implementation in the year 2000. So with this backdrop, I present before you Dr. C.V. Reddy, sir, Vice Chancellor, KK University, Nalanda, Bihar. Welcome you, sir. Now, I request our beloved HOD, Dr. S.R. Basav Reddy, to brief about the department. Over to you,
Good
sir.
morning to all of you. Good morning to Dr. C.V. Venkatraman Reddy, sir. And good morning to my colleagues and audience who have joined for this particular meeting. It's my pleasure for introducing our mechanical engineering department. The institution has started during the year 2009, and in particular, mechanical engineering has started during 2010 with a 60 intake. Then later, immediately at 2011, the intake has been increased to 120. Then 2014, we have introduced MTech course in production engineering and system technology. Then 2018, the department has been recognized as one of the research centers of mechanical engineering department. So with this progress, the institute is running mechanical engineering course from diploma engineering to BE engineering, MTech and PhD. So once a student gets admit at diploma or maybe engineering, he can pursue the highest possible engineering courses in our institute or department. So with this brief note, the Angadi Institute of Technology and Management, Belgaum, has established with these 12 years of service a very prestigious institution in Belgaum, catering to the needs of from kindergarten to the research center courses. So with this brief introduction of our institute and our department to guest, so I welcome once again the guest, Dr. Venkatraman Reddy, and other audience for this webinar class. Thank you once again. So with this, I hand over the session to Dr. C.V. Venkatraman Reddy, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, Basav Reddy, sir, and it's my pleasure to be present today amidst all of you. So in fact, there is a lot of things which are happening. You know, before that, we never thought of having a seminar the way in which we are today having So things started changing since the time there's a COVID-19 stepped into the world. You know, that not only spoiled the economy of the countries, it also had a long-lasting effect on every individual. And now the situation is so grim as such. And, you know, we just recollect the things, whatever we have witnessed some time ago. So almost like close to 2 years now, we are out of our schools or colleges or the classroom particularly. And maybe on and off, we are just having classes like this now. Whatever we could able to do it, we are doing it. So we had to, like, you know, learn lot many things, and we had to unlearn certain things which we were familiar with right from our childhood. So that's the situation that demands us. This is the today's requirement. Well, mechanical engineering, when we were students, we used to say royal blue, you know, the mechanical engineering is the great kind of thing. Agreed. We always took pride in being a mechanical engineers. But look at today, what's happening. So today, most of the places, if you look at the only admissions to engineering or the jobs, what is that we are just looking at, people started talking about only IT, IT, IT. So there's a software industry kind of thing. So agreed, things started changing and we had to change. And now looking at this mechanical engineering, what happened? I would like to talk about my own journey in mechanical engineering for almost like 34 years into engineering education at this moment. And further, looking at my teachers, my professor and mentor, philosopher, guide, and everything, Professor Samaga sir from RSC Surat. So he served close to 45 to 48 years in Surat. He was one among the founding batch of that Surat RSC. And his teacher, Professor B.S. Murthy, you know, his teacher, my teacher's teacher was B.S. Murthy. He is from IIT Madras. And also he was the professor emeritus of University of California at Los Angeles. So way back in early 70s, I think precisely 72, he coined a word called smog. You know, after sunrise, you will be seeing sometimes in the winter time, a lot of fog appears. You cannot, it's so dense, even you cannot see 100 meters ahead of you. Sometimes in meters, 1 or 2 meters also difficult. So one fine morning, way back in 70s, the Los Angeles woke up to the thick clouds of dense fog in the streets of Los Angeles. So people are really wondering what made this thing to happen. Finally, Professor B.S. Murthy suggested there is a smart kind, meaning our teachers were respected across the globe. You know, we are a great past. So what changed since Professor B.S. Murthy as a student and a teacher, and my sir as a student and teacher, and me as a student as well as a teacher in mechanical engineering, 3 generations, close to about 70 to 80 years now. And when you look back into times, nothing really much changed in the teaching learning process. The subjects which we started teaching are learning in the college during my time, maybe my teacher's time. Only one thing significant change we could notice was my teachers, they're all studied in the British system of units. So like a LMT, length, mass, and time. So based on LMT only, we have got a unit system, right? So that one, we had what is called as the FPS system. Foot, pound, and second system. Then changed to what is called CGS system, a centimeter, gram, and second kind of. Then came MKS system, That's the one which we graduated in engineering. And when I started my teaching career in way back in 80s and 88, so it was SI units. MKS to migrate to SI units. By and large, the subjects which we studied or our teachers studied, they all remained the same. But thanks to Karnataka University, I really glad to be associated with Karnataka University for quite a long time, close to 13 years. Me and Basreddy sir, and one more from KLE only, I think Professor Pilli. So we all worked together. There are seniors, like Basreddy sir probably is a senior to me by age as well. And also he was semi-senior in Karnataka University. So we started, I think, 92 or 93 academic year. So CAD/CAM has been introduced in Karnataka University for the first time in the entire country. So that way, the evolution of mechanical engineering started there. I don't call it the revolution. So similarly, subsequent year, we started a microprocessor for mechanical engineering 4th semester BTech. That's really wonderful. For mechanical engineers, talking about microprocessor was something unheard of before that. So there was a revolutionary change. Then next, before VTU formed, I think in 98 or 99 or 97, 98, we got mechatronics also introduced. CAD/CAM with C graphics as a laboratory, AutoCAD and other things. So we started with that. We learned all those things. As a student, I never had anything. So during my engineering, I had to learn the computers like ICU kind of thing, like the hospital will be seeing. So we had a basic language. So it was like a third language for us. Whatever you write, you are through. So that way we could be able to complete it. So then we have seen a lot of things. So this is the time wherein if you don't change, God also cannot be able to save us. So that was the thought process we had, and we migrated. In fact, at that time only, as early as 94, when I was teaching microprocessor, I realized there is a need for mechatronics. So then there are no textbooks are available across the country. So it took close to 4 years before I could be able to publish my first book, Fundamentals of Mechatronics, mainly focused towards diploma students. So it was finally published by Sapna Book House, Bangalore. That was the first book in the country. Same book which was meant for diploma has been used for PG level in BIT Misra. So that way, something was available for the education institutions to start that subject in the university system. And I don't know, God only knows, the VTU, West Australia Technological University, when it formed, I'm sorry to say, like, and in fact, my friend Basra says, don't tell sorry to say kind of thing. But unfortunately, whenever mistakes happen, so somebody has to own the responsibility. So maybe some of the teachers could have been like, adamant in keeping the new subjects. So just because many students are failing, they remove that subject. There's a big setback for the change which has been brought in by the Karnataka University, and we withdrawn that subject. This is a sin, this is a sin. So because if you look at the closely, have the close view into the entire curriculum. So most of the time, at least 3-4 subjects repeated at least 3-4 times with the different titles. Okay. So when we are changing, the industry changing, it's not that like maybe we were great, but what is important today, and what is that we are going to view our future generation. There's a new students, there's those who are studying now, and maybe they're going to come to the colleges maybe next year or coming decade. So it's we the teachers have to look into the future and what to come in the 5 years down the line. So all those things. Today, my topic, you're seeing mechanical engineering. What is the learnings we need to have in order to make our students, future generation, that's you, Gen Z, all millennials, 19 to 20 years now. So those people we call the Gen Z. So what is that you have to learn now? That let's focus on it. So today, so I'll just start with one slide. So this was the one seminar, or what you call conference, organized by Amrita Vishwavidyalaya, those people. But look at this, will a degree in mechanical engineering be absolute in 2030? Today already we are close to 22. That means in coming 8 years time, how dare I say that mechanical will not be there? Okay. So, but the talking about this absolute kind of thing, or it's going to be vanishing kind of thing, is inappropriate. Mechanical engineering will be there. It's bound to be there. It was there before. It will be. It is there today, and tomorrow it will be there. So let us keep this in mind. We'll have some more discussions as such. So now, how different will a post-pandemic world look like? Already you are all experiencing COVID-19. You know how it's going to be. Today, all the things should be happening in a quick succession. When Corona entered into this world, not many people would realize what next step, because we're not having medicine. We're not having the hospitals equipped to take care of this kind of volume of people. Maybe in the entire country at that particular time, like during last year, March or January, March, we didn't had enough ventilators, in the hospitals. Then that was a big thing. We didn't have PPE kits. We was not having sanitizers fully. We were not having the masks. So in the first couple of weeks, we had to largely depend on imports. We imported a lot many things, But look at the developments thereafter. Only a few months with a gap, an automobile company, Maruti, and many such automobile companies started producing PPE kits. What is their manufacturing line and what product they started producing it? When situation arose, we started producing it, and within no time we were surplus, and we also started exporting the PPE kits. So that is the kind of transformation after the change. So quickly we could realize, and we started doing what is essential for us. And similarly, this time oxygen. Everybody started about oxygen demand kind of thing. All the big jumbo aircrafts have been pressed into service, and we could able to get. Today we are surplus again. So meaning, we are quickly adjusting to the changing circumstances. So what made those things to happen? As far as ventilators is concerned, so across the country, when this first pandemic struck our country, we had only less than 15,000 across the country. We are not having beds, hospital beds also. 1:10,000 also we are not having. So that was the scenario. Now, such a big change in a couple of weeks time, how it is possible? Without you involving it. Designing is one part of the story and making the other part of the story. So who made it? People like you and me could be able to design, reorient the manufacturing process, and they could be able to produce many. So these are the things which we'll be talking about. So accordingly, looking at this pandemic, it really thrown a light on everybody. Whatever is happening in the nook and corner of the world, we could be able to get it within no time. So accordingly, even our mechanical engineering curriculum needs revamping, not only small cosmetic changes. It needs a revamping. Another thing here, it's most appropriate. This present government, after 1984, now started talking about what is called a new education policy, NEP, New Education Policy 2020. So by 2025, that will come into effect. And in some areas, already they started doing it. So NCERT and NCTE, they started revamping the curriculum right from that CBSE scheme, right from pre-schooling to they changed the system. It's 5+3+3+5. That's the mode they got it. And also they started talking about multiple entry and multiple exit system. So those who joined in engineering, after studying 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, they can just drop out. And we have what is called as academic banking of credit. It's called ABC. So we do have all those things now. So slowly we are implementing it. So, but the thing is, when these things are changing, what are the things are the courses we need to have? Mechanical engineering, for everybody's benefit, There are 4 distinct streams. One is thermal engineering, that heat power engineering. That's my specialization actually. I'm qualified as thermal engineer, or Surat Kalari says it's a heat power engineering. Okay. So one is thermal engineering, other one is a design stream, other one is a manufacturing and production stream, other one is management. I take pride in saying, my dear young friends, the only mechanical engineers are trained to be managers. Take pride of it. So mechanical engineers study anything around 6 to 8 subjects in the different tones and vigor they study, all management related subjects. So right from the principles of management, Kunj and Kunj, we studied, and also we taught the subject in engineering in Karnataka University too. And in most of the universities, we have those subjects. So that way, take pride. You are going to manage the organizations. Example, the Microsoft is a totally software company. We had Microsoft India. So we had one gentleman by name Ravi. You can just Google it, you will get it. So he was only graduate in mechanical engineering, did his MBA, and he was the chairman of Microsoft India. So similarly, one Vivek Paul, he became CEO of Wipro, a data company, a hardware company. They used to manufacture computers, hardware, basically hardware related company. So he took charge in way back in 1996 as a CEO of the Wipro company. He changed certain things in the company, and he started IT being in Wipro. So that revolutionized that company's turnover. When he joined that company, it was only 800 crore rupees worth company. In 10 years time, it became a $2 billion company. Okay, he served with the company till 2005. So he was the man who transformed the company. What's he? Mechanical engineer. Even not even with the MBA degree. Today, he is the VC. VC is the venture capitalist. He is funding the many youngsters who are starting new companies with new idea. So he is the startup kind of things. He'll be helping the people to build their companies. Okay, that way his contribution is enormous. So likewise, we'll be having it. So now there's the question now, how it is going to be. So this entire presentation is revolving around it. It tries to address the answer for this question. So mechanical engineering. The last slide is also equally important. Now we are going to be smart mechanical engineers. We are not just like mechanical means not that you are going to put your fingers into the grease. Okay, it's not that. Now we are going to have what is called as smart mechanical engineers. What is that smart? So first is our energy. So we'll be looking at smart power. That's energy, green energy. It must be eco-friendly. It must be economical. It must be constant available. And at the affordable cost. So what are the 4 areas you'll be having? Generation, storage, application, without costing it very high. Now we are seeing like how the petrol and diesel prices are increasing. Okay, this is the area which we'll be looking at it. And other one is we'll be having what is called as a smart industry. There's a manufacturing. So we'll talk about when we talk about smart engineering, a smart industry and manufacturing. Lot many things have changed now. We are changing. So again, I have to go back to the Karnataka University time. One of my students who learned CAD/CAM then, eventually he became a head of CAD division of Airbus A380. So we'll talk about it again. So what are the things we'll be addressing? Just to indicate, it's only indicate, not a just list. Okay. So we started talking about automation, not now, way back in early 90s. Robotics, again, we used to talk about 1890s. And we taught the subject ANN, artificial neural networks, So all those things we just started talking about then. So now we are talking about artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, and predictive analysis. So everything is virtual today. Even with the conference which is being now undertaken virtually, and simulation, etc. So this is what is the thing we'll be having. Okay. So next coming, the other one is we are talking about 4th industrial revolution, industry revolution 4.0. that is in force now. This was coined by Germany way back in 2011 itself. And finally, they accepted as a norm. German Chancellor, Angela, given that statement long back. Okay. So now, what is the smart energy? It looks at what is that energy efficiency, and it should be powerful. So by IC engines, etc., we use wherever the torque is needed. So definitely these electric vehicles at this moment we cannot think of using it for powering JCB or bulldozer, or the excavators kind of thing. So now maybe we can talk about electric bus. Okay, agreed. So that way it should be powerful, sustainable energy, sustainable. Today, tomorrow, and day after, present, future also should be able to serve. So that way it should be looking at it. At the same time, we are changing now. The seasons are changing. That's because of global warming, greenhouse gases, emission of greenhouse gases. So now we are looking at it and we have to change those things. At the same time, what is that we have to achieve? Economy. Now look at this slide. So we have so many things now. So smart energy addresses 4 elements. Okay, one is emission side we have to look at. So you need to start getting the knowledge about all these areas if you want to choose this as your career. So everything now at the BTech level itself, diploma or BTech, whatever you think of, choose some area. There you want to be the best. That's the one best. And today's buzzword is, so even we used to talk about it with many people then also. So you must be jock of all. You must have a minimum working knowledge in many disciplines. Disciplines, not only mechanical engineering alone. You should be good at electronics, electrical engineering. Then only you'll be wholesome mechanical engineering. So without knowledge of electrical engineering, without knowledge of fundamentals of electronics and applications like little programming, you cannot be a wholesome mechanical engineer. So now mechanical engineer mandatorily should have a mechanical basic knowledge, principles and concepts of mechanical engineering. Because there everything comes into picture. You talk about energy, you talk about designing, you talk about manufacturing. So whatever you start design, we have to think how we are going to eventually realize it, how we are going to make it. So that's the one. Whenever you're thinking of, whenever you're advising certain thing, you should have that thing also in mind. So accordingly, you should choose the subjects during your course. So we are talking about electric and hybrid vehicles now, solar energy, e-waste, another big thing so battery EVs, batteries is a big challenge. And further what is called as now everything driverless cars. So we don't want to have a driver, human intervention not in between. So it is called as autonomous feature vehicles. So we need to have that. And also, how are we going to, whatever smart energy or green energy we get it, so how we are going to distribute it across? Solar energy, yes, now we are seeing now. So large megawatt scale solar plants have been built. And again, they are connecting it to the grid. So that kind of infrastructure also we need to have. And we have to have the synergies, what kind of energy we'll be using it, and whether it's a fission, we have a fossil fuels and newer energies, all those things, a proper blending of the energy sources. And wherever it's possible, you have to reduce intensities. So likewise, we have other big challenge is the energy storage. So what is that energy storage we'll be talking about? So yeah, energy storage management, metering, and e-mobility, all those things we are talking about it. So ultimately, it revolves around economy and regulations. When new things have started coming in, so how about registrations? Automobiles, whatever. How about registration? How we are going to account it? All those regulations must be enabled. Okay. So these are a few things which will be addressed. Now look at this picture. So the 3 stages will be having it. So on the top, you are seeing the circles now. It's a power grid. It's coming, and you have got renewable energies. And one blue lit. Now we are, though you are a mechanical engineer, we should be able to have this what is called big data, database management. So big data, data security, how we are going to integrate all those things, unless otherwise we could be able to connect with those things, it's incomplete. So at least you need to have a working knowledge of all these areas, such that you can choose gadgets, which gadget you need to have. You talk about cell phone, you have got a beautiful device, but you cannot able to beam the Wi-Fi or whatever internet kind of thing. You cannot able to have the device which can able to beam the signals. Then it's useless. So similarly, we need to have working knowledge of all the gadgets. So it's a 3 levels. So first is this the application layer. Then we have a cloud, all the management, etc. So what equipment, what's the data? Everything has a data. How many units energy is being consumed, or how many liters of fuel we sold, maybe by a diesel, whatever. How many units of energy is being utilized at your home or your computer. All this is data individually. So if you look at every individual, when every data comes from everywhere and it becomes a massive data. So how are you going to use the data? So based on this data, you have to draw some conclusions, inferences, and you have to make some decisions. So that means you need to have the analysis, data analysis. All those things are coming into picture. So some components also will be having knowledge. There's energy management system, there's a computers, etc. Energy storage systems again will be having it. This electric vehicle, there's a hybrid vehicle charging systems, etc. Will be talking about it. Okay. So now, what are the areas of working knowledge we need to have? It's a thought process again. So we are looking at it. So these are the various areas wherein we can always look at it. Smart energies for various applications, various areas. These are the things we'll be looking at. Particularly energy, green energy, smart energy system analysis, tools, methodologies. Okay. Smart energy infrastructure and storage options. Big challenges storage again. Integrated energy systems and collaborative manufacturing systems that respond in real time to meet changing demands and conditions. So probably, suddenly the load increases. You just get into your home and put on all the ACs. Suddenly, maybe your home is connected with only 5 kilowatts, and you have got 2 ACs of 2 tons each. And also, you start your computer. Maybe your father gets into the bathroom and they switch on his geyser. Then what is the connected load? 2 ACs are running 4 kilowatts, and one geyser is running 6 kilowatts, whereas your home is connected with only 5 kilowatt power supply. So these are the changing demands. Suddenly all offices open at 9 o'clock. What is the power demand? Evening, all lights, domestic, commercial, and industry everywhere lit up. What is the demand? So these are the changing demands. So in the summer, several ACs will on, and winters maybe heaters. So likewise, we'll be having several aspects. So we have to be looking at it. So now energy savings is another thing. Energy auditing, energy saving. Now how gadgets will be designing. Now how we are going to control all those things. So we'll be looking at it. And here we are using what is the district heating concepts kind of thing. Suppose if you get into the current state where I am now working, come December, I have to wear thermals. Maybe in my room, I need to have no AC, forget about it. I have to have the heaters, room heaters. The temperature may be a single digit, maybe 1 degree, 2 degrees kind of thing. And if you get into the Jammu and Kashmir snowfalls, Himachal Pradesh, so there you need to have the heating arrangement for your entire home, not only one room kind of thing. So very, very good. Similarly, if you go to the colder regions, so there you need to have. So there the concept comes, this entire district heating system, so the gas pipelines goes and room heaters, all powered by those things. So you need to be having some knowledge about all such things. Electrification for transport, heating, and industry also you need to have. So similarly, institutional and organization change for smart systems. So now look at how we changed at home. So maybe during your childhood you might have seen the bulbs, incandescent bulb, 100 watts, 150 watts, like that we used to use. And in between, maybe during your childhood you might have seen CFL bulbs came. spiral or tube kind of thing, small, but expensive, 250 rupees, 300 rupees kind of one bulb. That's a maximum of 15 watts bulb. From 100 watts, 60 watts bulbs to we could be able to get it 15 watts, yet we still have better daylight. So that's the thing. And today, what is that we have? LEDs. So maximum in my entire home, I use only 300 watts illumination, only 300 watts for the entire home. Okay, so that's the newer thing. So how are we going to change all that things? So similarly, now as engineers, this was of course done by even our civil engineering people. They are keen on GIS, Geographical Information System. So where it is installed and how it is going to be, so all those things study. Knowledge, at least you need to have working knowledge. So components and systems for district heating. Now what are the various things you'll be having? So you need to have a boilers, hot water bores and the air filters. So pumping, all those things you need to have. The renewable energy sources and waste heat resource, like how we are going to use the waste heat energy also. So in depth, you can just have the study. So now, this is the one conference held last year, 30th May 2020. Of course, I attended this program. So look at this. It's not that like, whatever we are talking about, today we are talking about Industrial Revolution 4.0. So our academics also must be changing to meet that particular thing, to meet that particular thing. What is that is called? Education 4.0. That's why already mentioned NEP 2020. Accordingly, we are changing a lot many things. Okay. So in the curriculum also you have to bring in a lot of changes. So for that, only teachers have the role to play. You have to bring in a lot of changes. We have to come out of that cocoon kind of thing. I request all my teachers, my colleagues, seniors and even juniors, think of a near future. What are the things which we need to give to the students? So it's happening. It's written on the wall. So things, unless otherwise we bring into the academics, so our students or the industry will have a lot of issues. Okay, so this is as per industry revolution 4.0. Lot many things will change. For instance, you look at the conference sessions. What are the topics? So improved analytics and decision making through relevant real-time data. That's a database you need to have. Intelligent dashboard, total factory optimization, Internet of Things, mobility, cloud computing, analytics, digital twin, industrial internet consortium, IIC they call, and we talk about IIoT also, connected enterprises, blockchain, there's a cryptocurrency technology we'll be using it, supply chain, management in post-COVID kind of thing also, supply chain management, big data, enriched analytics, optimization of supply and reduction of costs, 5G implications. So all these things now will be already started talking it, and where it's possible we started implementing it. Okay, so this is the thing we have to look at it. So now let us throw a little light onto the American Society of Mechanical Engineers, highly respected society. So maybe we all take examples from them. Okay, so the ASM Executive Director, CEO Tom Costabile said, the COVID-19 pandemic has had a profound impact on lives and livelihoods. The engineering work landscape has been rapidly evolving. No revolution, okay? It's evolving. And the pandemic has accelerated and changed the landscape in ways we are only beginning to understand. Now, this is a true statement. I endorse and watch for this particular statement. So this kind of online activity started in my institution. I had a tie-up with what is one consortium called IUCE, Indo-US Consortium for Engineering Education. Okay, so way back in 2008 itself, we entered into MOU with that organization from Guru Nanak Institute of Technology. I happen to be founding principal of Guru Nanak Institute of Technology, Hyderabad. So there we had that tie-up. So I could be able to organize in real time the webinars in the evening, like 5 to 6 in the institution. We had a seminar hall. So live, the professor from say New York, he started addressing our students in real time. Student could able to raise their hand, like, it's a webinar kind of thing, real time. Question and answers could be able to help. And at that point of time only, 2013-14, UGC, University Grants Commission, said at least 30% content must be digital, but we could not able to implement that. But come 2020, things are drastically changed. Everybody started looking at it, So we started learning new things, how we can able to connect with the students. So we have to have a lot of learning. Then we started looking at what kind of learnings we can have. So how we can able to reach. So this teaching learning process changed totally. So this online delivery of content, synchronous and asynchronous, both things we started using. So this is one such activity we are having it now. So again, our director stated again, engineers are applying technologies including artificial intelligence, robotics, and 3D printing. This is what is called additive manufacturing to help respond to the public health crisis and also to adapt processes in many industry sectors and transform supply chain for the future. So how it should be conducted. So take a cue from this, and probably we have to change our way in which we are imparting knowledge to the students. A significant number of engineers graduate with a powerful, so you can see what are the things. Textbook knowledge only, fundamentals and theory, but lack the skills needed to apply that knowledge in their day-to-day work. Even experienced engineers might become siloed. That means, it's a funneling kind of thing, and not have the ability and awareness to keep pace with the rapidly evolving technical field. So this is the thing we are looking at. So we should keep pace with the changing times. So accordingly, let us plan. Yeah, Deloitte is another one. So they made a study, a survey in fact, just before pandemic. Okay, just before pandemic, and pandemic only accelerate this process. Okay, so this is the pre-pandemic study. Okay, so their statement is one simple. Again, the same Segilia, like an ASME person, addressing this skills gap. There's a lot of gap. We are all very good in textbook and maybe scoring in subjects, but when it comes to the practical implementation, the reliability on such people is very tough. So we need to be having the working knowledge. So we should be able to be getting into practicalities. So that gap is critical, and it informs how those of us working in engineering, learning and development approach everything from course design to education technology. This says. So similarly, the other people also said so. Okay, we're all talking about course, etc. So we have to change. We have to bring in certain things to the academics properly. Wherever there is redundancy, we have to remove those things, and new things have to be put properly in a seamless manner. So now this is the Deloitte statement. The jobs are here, but where are the people? This is basically in the manufacturing sector. So today, this is the challenge. Let us go ahead with this. Now, in education 4.0, looking at all these things, to map the industrial revolution, fourth industrial revolution, it's an evolution. Okay, so this was named as a fourth industrial revolution. So then people started looking at what was there before, and we used to talk. We used to talk with our students and with our colleagues. It's a grapevine communication kind of thing. We used to say with the invention of the wheel, that revolutionized everything. That is a evolution kind of thing. So even you look at the Mahabharata, Ramayana time, you had a chariots, the wheel. So the first industrialization started thanks to James Watt steam engine. So that's way back in 1810 to 1819. So he started that, and in 1819 in UK, it all started with it. I think it's looms, mechanized looms started with. So that was the first industrial unit started. So for almost a century or so, so that spread across all the world. That is the fabric capital of the world, Manchester in UK. So now, fourth industrial revolution, publicly announced by this German Chancellor Angela Merkel in 1916. It's official. Now we are all talking about Industry 4.0. Similarly, the Mercedes-Benz car maker in Germany. So earlier, a couple of thousands of people, close to 12,000 people used to work in a day. So they started managing with only 12 people. That means one person is equal to 1,200 people. So jobs gone. So many people gone. So there are replaced total automation using the robots in their entire assembly line and manufacturing. So what happens? Now we're looking back. Now first industrial revolution. It's a timeless. Some people started giving it. So okay, quickly we'll just go through that. One was based on the mechanical production equipment driven by water and steam. That's what is the steam engine. So then came production, mass production kind of thing. In 1870, this is the thing which just started changing using the electrical energy. Then came industry 3.0, electronics, microprocessor. So that started, we started using PLCs, etc. for automation and increase the production. And that resulted in computerization in the late 80s. So that also costed people many jobs. The changes have come. Now we are in the industry 4.0. This is cyber physical systems. All the things IoT, etc. we are talking about. So this is how we could be able to make a picture. This is the thing. Now look at this now. The reason to say that the fourth industrial revolution is in full force today is due to the fact that velocity and impact of current breakthroughs is like never before. Only pandemic also accelerated this process. That's what a Maruti, a car making company, quickly could be able to start producing PPE kits, afterwards even the ventilators. Okay. So similarly, innovation, the innovations and advances are omnipresent, led by strong emergence of fields like this. Already we did discuss about it. Okay. The biggest challenge is storage. So the impact of such breakthroughs is so rapid. It's very fast, rapid. With the fourth industrial revolution is evolving at an exponential pace. And this is what is called as disruption, disrupting almost every industry. Remember, maybe even probably you have an idea. We used to have cameras, a Kodak camera, Canon camera, Nikon camera, lot many in Sony. So we used to load that with a film, So now those gone, digital cameras came in, that vanished. There's a big change. Photography disturbed that particular segment. Similarly, you might have seen the telephone booths, PCOs. So what happened with the mobiles coming in? That PCOs are extinct now. Every road corner, you might have seen public telephone booth kind of thing. Used to walk in and then make calls, local car or STD kind of thing. Now they're all vanished. You don't see those things. Okay. So what happened to those people who started working with those? These are called disruptive technologies. On one side, they remove the certain jobs, and another side, they create lot many other things. So computerization, same thing is happening. With the advent of computer industry, many people become jobless. So this same computer in the form of IT, software revolution, it's the biggest, the largest employer today in the world. Whatever we're talking about, so we are having so many industries coming up. Opportunities brought by industrial revolution 4.0. So you can see, lot many things like our standard of living is also increasing, and no doubt some people are losing their jobs. Only those who are losing jobs, though, refuse to change their attitude, their learning. If you learn, if you keep pace with the changing times, that's why I always talk about three things: upskill, upgrade, So other one is uh, uh, upskill, update, and upgrade. That's just three things: upskill, upgrade, update. These are things wherever you can. So we'll be using it. So that will make you have a better opportunity all the time. And of course, I'm talking with my younger generation. So they say, by the time I reach 45 years, I should say bye to my job. I should be well off and remaining entire life I can just uh, pursue my passion. That was the kind of thing people do have today. That is Gen Z planning. Okay, so we are not Gen Z. We are very old timers. Okay. We are very old timers. So now look at this. This will drive gains within the efficiency and productivity of our current lifestyle. Lifestyle has really changed. Okay. So now, increasing the global income levels, enhanced quality, reduction in transportation, reduction in transportation and communication, etc. Now I could able otherwise I could have traveled to your place, Belgaum. Creation of new products and markets, a safer workplace as others work. So wherever you talk about, so it's a safer world now. Enhanced health services leading to longevity, lifespan increased. That you'll be seeing that in the forthcoming slides. No. Open that. So challenges of IR 4.0. So I told you, there's a lot of issues. Wherever these unskilled or semi-skilled jobs are there, most of them lost their jobs. So this is what the economist Eric Brinjoson has famously said. You can see the statement. Technology has always been destroying jobs, and it has always been creating jobs. One side is a balancing act. One side we are losing jobs, and other side we are creating the jobs. Apart from this, other challenges could be security issues of data. Now already we are seeing the cyber attacks, etc. And maintaining privacy. Today we have no privacy. We have started using posting in Facebook. That gives you live location of where you are, kind of thing. Now all those things started coming in. So that way we are gaining certain things at the cost of something. A risk of greater inequality in the labor markets. In a particular segment, that haves and have-nots gap is increasing. Decrease in real income of workers as machines take over. Ultimately, it all talk about productivity. So it all depends on the productivity. Displacement of workers by machines and artificial intelligence. Agreed. So, but we'll be having a different kind of jobs for creation of higher order human jobs. This is the thing. This is the order of the day. So always, machines are taking over human beings' repetitive tasks. Then what is it we have to do? Start applying and using our brains, such that machines can't do whatever that men can do it. So that is the security one we can able to have. And 6 drivers of change in workplace brought by IR 4.0. What are those 6? Look at this. Extreme longevity. I told you, lifespan extended. So earlier, during my childhood, so people used to die at very young age. Now, life expectancy is close to 70 years in India. It's increased. So meaning you should be planning for that kind of longevity. Who is going to take care of you? That's the challenge. Next is the rise of smart machines and systems. Everything is smart. You got a smart watch, a smartphone, everything smart. When you expect the things to come smart, why not your education be smart? So that way we have to bring in that smartness in all the aspects, every sphere of activity, every sphere of learning, every sphere of teaching. We need to have that. A TLP must be smart now. So that means we need to have a lot of learning. So I was not this good when I started my career way back in. No, PPTs were not there. So then comes a computational world. It's everything is computational today. Okay. Similarly, we have new media ecology. Now things changed. Now communication, how we are getting it through your WhatsApp, maybe Twitter, you know. So lot many things are happening through those things. Even you can talk to Mahindra and Mahindra chairman with Twitter. Okay. So that way this become very dunya muthi mein. Okay. So how technology again? This technology made it possible and also created lot many jobs. Super structured organization. You know, today we talk about social enterprises. No need of you having a physical enterprise. No. Your industry is your laptop. You can just start working on. You know? So you can be a remote maintenance engineer. You are maintaining the Mercedes-Benz plant in, say, Meisterstadt in Germany. You can. Okay. So likewise, you have yet another thing. It's a globally connected world. So that's what I was talking about. So no issue. United States, Europe, and no longer has anything like a monopoly. So work from home became order of the day today. So one of my colleague yesterday called me. So he'll be working for a Norway-based company, sitting at home. You know, so things are changing. So we have to change. So what are the jobs of the future, and what are the skill set we need to have it? That's important. Now look at it. So these are the new skill sets. Everybody must be having the literacy, digital literacy, the ability to critically assess and develop content that reaches new media forms. Now, how we're just having it. I may be using GPG, PHP, whatnot, all those things. And to leverage this media for personalized communication, you have to have that kind of, so understand the tools. Then comes virtual collaboration. Now, not necessarily that I need to have everything in my institution or in my organization. I can always seek the help of who knows better than me. So I can talk to Basreddy sir, sir, please kindly help me. I need something in Belgaum. You know, so before that we used to go to Belgaum and then look around. So all those things are now it's a collaboration. It's a virtual collaboration. We can have an MO with them, and I give you this and you give me this kind of thing. It's all possible, such that we can transfer knowledge, better knowledge to the students too, as an institution I'm talking about. And a cognitive load management is another important thing. Everybody should be thinking. Thinking is the important aspect. And also we talk about design thinking, logical thinking, you know, rational thinking. So likewise, we have got several thinking. Today, we're introducing a subject called design thinking in mechanical engineering. Okay. So what and designing for manufacturing. It's not that like you just draw some sketches like an architect, and ultimately a structural engineer who has to break his head how he can able to get that curvature. Okay. So how stable it's going to be. So then social intelligence. So how people are having it, you know. So all those things also equally. No, it's a connect Nokia connecting the people. Okay. So you have to get connected and get the conditions. So all lot many things which just competing. Next is yet another thing, thinking. Computational thinking is also come here. It all based on the database base. So you have data, study your data, what is that you have, and accordingly you'll be thinking what must be the best solution for that particular situation. Okay. Similarly, we have yet another thing. Transdisciplinary. I understand transdisciplinary. We used to say one need to have multidisciplinary ability. Now it is transdisciplinary. Literacy in and ability to understand concepts across multiple disciplines. You know, that's called transdisciplinary. Multiple disciplines. You need to have some knowledge about it. Design mindset. This already I just spoken about. Novel and adaptive thinking. This is another thinking. Okay. So likewise, we have several thinking processes. Next is whatever we do, it should make sense. You know, ability to determine the deeper meaning or significance of what is being expressed. That's important. Today's youth, there's a Gen Z, is very good in that aspect. In the crisp way, they could able to do it. So, as a teachers, we also have to be looking into it and doing a better things. Aspirations of Gen Z, you know, aspirations. What are the aspirations they'll be having? So let's have a look at it. Gen Z is those born millennials, okay, after 2000. The points ponder here is whether our education framework today can lead to development of such skills, which will also meet the aspirations of our generation Z, who will cut their teeth in fourth industrial revolution world. That's what is the thing which we have to be looking at. Not that I'll be just teaching them the age-old thing even today. Okay, conceptual wise, the basic, the foundations wise, it's all right. But thing is, whether this is going to give a seamless connection to the next level, that we have to look into it. So Gen Z is between 13 to 20 now. Okay, after the millennials, we are also talking about millennials. Now there's education. Now we are going to educate them, their growth and their dreams. Millennials dreams also are looking at it. No. So a recent survey says, so they want relevant and meaningful education, and they are this generation want the jobs. They must be equipped to future jobs and also have the strong growth. You know, and they don't want to have a long career kind of thing. Within 10 years, they want to say fulfill their requirements kind of thing. You know, this is the Gen Next requirement. Accordingly, we may have to design our curriculum, you know, and give them such kind of opportunities. So I have seen one institution, twins got 50 lakhs each per annum pay. They'll be working in Japan in a Google's affiliate company. Okay. So 50 lakhs per annum. You tell me what is that they cannot do? Maybe 50 lakhs, that means 10 years, it's 5 crores. If they invest properly, they can make big money. Okay. Anyway, so now you look at the generation next. What is that table? It says we just compare. They compare with the past and present now. So it's like, you know, very few distractions during our childhood. Even we didn't have TV. It's only a radio. Okay. So at least you are lucky enough. Now, what is that you have? Mobile phone. One unit, one device encompass everything. Okay. Reading habit was to read one big novel in a day, and now no patience to read one paragraph. Okay. Hands-on parental involvement. No, your parents were very much eager. What is that you have learned that day? But now it's reduced. It's a responsibility of the institution and teachers now. No, now the teachers and institutions have the more responsibility. Okay, so that's what everybody feels. I'm paying you, it's your responsibility. It's a service kind of thing. Now you are extending service, so you are answerable. So this is the order of the day. Homogeneous education experience across institutions. Where we go, we'll be studying the same thing. Maybe it all depends on the teachers, how they could make an impact. Otherwise, the content almost remains the same. But now it's different models. Everybody using different approaches. Some people say it's a problem-based learning. Some say project-based learning. Some say experiential learning. Some say experimental learning. You know, whatnot. So the several aspects started coming in. Clearly drawn career paths now. Then, if you join the police department as a constable, you go to the head constable, then sub-inspector, or assistant sub inspector. That way it all goes on. That's the career path was very clear. Now, no, boundaries are not there. That's why I say engineering is one, whether it's mechanical, electrical, electronics, computers, blah, 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 whatever. The boundary lines are blurred. Everybody has got knowledge in everything. You need working knowledge. So these are the aspects we are looking at it. So basically, what is the thought process we need to have in engineering is we must be enablers. The teachers must be playing a role of enabler. So these engineers should make them enable to get used to any changing circumstance. That is another thing which will be looking at it. So information overload and other things like limited. Then it's a very limited. Now you got so much. You go to the Google. You get many information, but only thing you have the wisdom to choose which is good for you and which is not. Not that everything Google throws at you is legitimate information. Okay. Then it is a mostly face-to-face interaction. Now, all faceless virtual interaction. Look at this. Appreciation was rare. Whatever you do good, yet no, at least my father never appreciated anything I do when I was a student. Okay. So now for everything we say, hey, good job, come on, you know now. So this is the kind of thing we started, like kids, evolution of education 4.0. What is that paradigm shift now we are? So now see the changes. Now 1.0 was dictated. So we used to dictate notes in the engineering classroom, walking around. So then open access system has come, socially constructed, usually with the aid of internet access. We used to tell people like, okay, you can download from the internet and submit. And then came knowledge producing education. This is bit contextual. We started talking about do something which is relevant for the industry. So now it is innovation. It is the era of innovation today. So everything education 4.0 is innovation. So we innovate every now and then. So how good we are at it, that's more important. So technology again, now the first two, now fourth. That was the meaning we are saying. Now let us look at the technology. So it was only confined to the classroom, the chalk and talk. Most of the time it's chalk and talk. So open access education came, digital. It became inevitable. Then we started taking laptop into the classroom and started giving some presentations, etc., etc. So knowledge producing education everywhere. No need you to go to classroom alone. So we started giving the coaching, like various means. Now it is we are seeing now innovation producing education. So always changing with the direct input of learning sources. So we started talking about these things of late. So innovation production. So further. So what is the meaning now? Education 4.0, it's already done. Teaching is done. Okay. Download education was a teacher to student only. Open access, a teacher to student and student to student also. Like it's a peer learning, peer-to-peer learning. So that also became a order of the day. So knowledge again, teacher to student, student to student. So many things. It's all started going around. Okay. Sometimes I tell you, like way back in '93, I was learning Java. One of my student, I think I remember his name, a wonderful guy. He used to live in USA, and for his supplementary exam, he came down once. and he was delivering in Apple computer. Then there was one system in Rani Bengal. So there he was giving coaching for Java programming. I attended his coaching. Okay. So I learned Java. So that's what SQL and other things. Remember, it was 92 or 93 kind of. Okay. So he was my student. In the college, he was my student. And in that computer, Apple computer, or Aptech computers. So I was his student. I learned. And also we executed a project for final students that a remote controller of artillery using Java. Okay. So that way we had to upgrade and upskill. I'm basically a hardcore mechanical engineer, but I was nothing to do with this Java, but I learned Java. So I know C programming, I know the AutoCAD, whatever you're talking about, all these tools I know. So that way we just started learning new things. We just only upgraded ourselves. So then comes schools are located in, you all know that in the buildings, etc. So online now, no need anywhere. So I see recently interacted some of my students, they are not getting internet properly in their village. A couple of people gone to the terrace, not like a remote place in the Varanasi. Okay. So one student was showing the other thing. Okay. So it all happens, even with the advancement in technology, things still not at amicable or reachable to the society at large. So again, coming to this 5 I's of learning in education, what that this new generation has to learn, 5 I's of learning, imbibing, imbibe your, you have to have the concepts properly, have the concepts right, understand what is heat and what is cold, understand what is pressure and what is stress. Maybe both have the same units, same notation, but how they are different. Unfortunately, when I interacted in the interviews with some faculty, they were clueless. Okay, so we had to understand certain things properly, iterating, interpreting, how we are going to interpret it, how we are going to explain the concepts, like tasks. So interest, that's the first thing. Interest. First you need to have interest, and it's not the last one. It's not the least thing. Innovating. Everywhere innovation is mandated. So you need to have 5 I's. So building UG program in context of UG or diploma, any education, any graduate program now, in line with the changing times. So feature specializations, core business studies and technology, liberal studies foundation. Now in this university, we are now from this current academic year 21-22, we're introducing the core mechanical engineering concepts, and students can opt any discipline subjects like a UGC's choice-based credit system. We're having it, and most mechanical is multidisciplinary. We're having it mechanical core, and we are going to give them some electronics and some computers, such that they can talk about big data, machine learning, whatnot, blockchain, cryptocurrency, and all those things. Okay. So this is the design which we made. So we're implementing from this academic year 21. Whoever is admitting into UG and all UG first graduate programs. Some thoughts now. So with this, I'll just stop. Pedagogical approach in the world of E 4.0. Learning by doing. That's important. Social sector internships. I request all my younger generation, future generation, you are our future, this country's future. So think of how are we going to learn? So there's so many things, so many opportunities to get it. Everywhere, only thing is keep your senses open, keep your eyes and ears open, observe. You'll get lot many things. Okay, so this is like I don't want to have too much of it. So already whatever, okay, kal dekh lenge, parsu dekh lenge, and it will not do any good. Ask questions when you don't understand it. Ask questions are easy. Now we got so many forms in a Quora or anywhere. You can just ask questions. Okay, so you get a lot of things. And also there is one website called studentcompetitions.com. Take part in all the damn competitions. Don't question yourself, am I competent enough or not? First dare to do it. Nobody's looking at you. You and your computer start taking part in the competitions. No, that's only beginning. If you start doing it, so feel that I'm okay. No, you start doing it. Have that feel, confidence in you. No, and also maybe you start group yourself, like-minded people. Start doing it. So that way you'll be learning better. So creator shall inherit the future. You need to be creator. Okay. So teachers have to really foster creativity, and we need to have an open mind, you know, and make the people come forward to do better things. A look at the future of mechanical engineering, sir. You know, these new subject areas, which are the result of modern advancements, are prerequisites for several emerging and promising fields, including artificial intelligence, biomechatronics, and nanotechnology. Okay, so all those bio, nano, you know, some of the areas include electric vehicles. You know, that's the one. It's going to be a largest chunk. All these things will be talking about nanotechnology. So we talk in between the mechatronics, MEMS, and nanotechnology. So all these things also are equally important. Okay, nanotechnology refers to the very small in the atoms level. Also, you can just manipulate. Okay, it's possible. There's a big scope for you people. And look at the composite materials, renewable energy storage systems, biomedical devices, whatnot. Today, you do a lot many things. And biomechatronics is another one. And we call biomems also. If you reduce the size from mechatronics, biomechatronics to reduce the size of the order of millimeters or less than that, then it's called micro electromechanical systems. Okay, so you can just have that. So it's a biomechatronics is nothing but you just mimicking the human body. So manufacturing, ultimately, this is the production. You have to get the reality. So you'll be having that important thing. Okay. So manufacturing is an ever evolving. Now we are always thinking how we can able to improve the production, accuracy, quality. So all the technologies will be having it. So automation means robotics and other things definitely comes into picture. It's our systems approach. All systems approach will be having it. So everybody need to learn these things. Practice and professionals. Okay. I requested my colleagues there, facilities are also, to share this PPT with all the participants. Okay. So now we are moving to the last but one slide. So all my discussion was revolving around mechanical concepts. That's the base. That's the feature base. Whatever you just have layers. Based on the layers, you'll be having the thickness, the fulfillness kind of thing. So basically, mechanical concepts, and I have electronics and electrical engineering knowledge also, plus ICT. ICT, internet, computer technology, or telecom, everything. So ICT technologies. So then we'll be having a bright future. Okay, the future is very sound. And mechanical engineer, what is that we're doing? We design the future. We design the future. That's the proud we say. And the last slide, sir, and for the day. Conclusion. Well, my dear mechanical engineers, the world always revolves around us because you are the wheel. Okay, you are the wheel. So everything in order to make it move and other things also, you need to have the wheel. Okay, revolves around us. When mechanical rests, don't take it literally, please. In order to give the confidence, like when it becomes mechanical engineering becomes absolute by 2030, it never be so long. Motion and force. The movement and force are there in this universe. That means mankind, the mechanical with it. Okay. So, but only thing is we have to transform the change, only change. So it's all sometime back we used to say logical, and now we say it's all digital kind of thing we started talking about. And forever it's mechanical, but mechanical comes with a star, sir. You know what is the star indicates? Conditions apply. What are the conditions? I tell everybody, say I am the man with L, and all around me I got L board. You know, whoever is driving for the first time in a car, they'll be having L board, na? A front and back, they'll be having L, red letter L. But we'll be having one L, that is LQ. That is lifelong learning. That's important for you, me, and everybody. Okay, that is the lifelong learning. And with this, I thank the organizers and particularly Basareddy sir. So he was quite helpful right from my journey in Ranebenu for 13 long years as well. He was elderly and helping us to learn how to go ahead in our career too. So learning happens from the students as well as teachers and everybody. Okay, that's what I admitted with you. I learned one subject from my student. There are several my students learned from me. Okay, so this is the no inhibition as such. Let's not have that inhibition. Let us be open for learning. Okay, so with this, I thank once again every participant. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, sir. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure hearing you for the last few minutes. And always keep in mind that what is the importance of the 3L in each one of our lives. Now we'll just go ahead and take some questions. So I request the participants to ask questions if any. All the participants, if you're having any questions, please go ahead and ask them. Any questions? Okay. Now I request Professor Rahul Bubnale from Mechanical Department to propose vote of thanks. Over to you, Rahul, sir.
Thank you, Girish sir. Good afternoon to everyone. It's my privilege to have been asked to propose the vote of thanks on this occasion. I, Rahul Bubnade, on behalf of Angdi Institute of Technology and Management, I extend my very heartily thankful to our today's speaker, Dr. C.V. Reddy sir, KK University. And thank you, sir. Thank you for accepting our invitations and giving a huge knowledge about the Industrial Revolution 4.0 as well as Education 4.0. Thank you very much, sir. So I would like to express our profound gratitude to our beloved principal, sir, Dr. Sir, for his support, guidance, and as well as motivation for the such kind of webinars. Thank you very much, sir. Next, I would like to thank our beloved HOD sir, Dr. S.R. Baswareddy sir. So he's being a binding force behind us to carry out such webinars. Thank you very much, sir. Next, I would like to thank all the coordinators, Girish sir, Uddar sir, and all the staff members and even the media team for their cooperations and supports. Thank you all. So finally, I thank all the wonderful participants all across the country who had been there in the session. Okay, I thank you one and all for being in the sessions. Okay, thank you one and all. Have a nice day. Take care. Over to you, Girish sir.
Thank you, Rahul sir. So with this, we'll be ending our session. I have already shared the feedback link in the chat box. So I request all the participants to give the feedback, and all of you will be receiving the certificates after 4 p.m. today. Thank you, sir. Thank you for entertaining us with your tremendous knowledge. Have a nice day. Take care. Thank you, everyone.